Well, hello and welcome to Audionautic Deep Space Network, episode 94, slowly making our way to triple digits. This is the Independent Musician's Guide to Production and Promotion. This week, we're going to walk through the incredible free Noctua synth from Venus Theory and UVI. We've got some sound demos from Curtis and a crash course on navigating the UI. I say crash because we're hoping that Curtis's computer doesn't crash. So it could be crash course or total crash. We'll see. But that's all part of the fun of being live. Next, we do have some good news coming out of Bandcamp with an update to their discovery page. And finally, we're going to discuss some strategies for 2024 to level up production, promotion, and releasing your awesome music. And we'll have some guests in as well for that. I want to quickly say hello to all of our patrons and friends joining us live in the chat. For some reason, I'm not seeing the comments on StreamYard, so I can't share them. I don't know why that is, but I will read some out. We've got, I don't know what's, are you seeing them, Curtis?
No,
It doesn't look like it. Yeah, for some reason there seems to be some sort of disconnect.
Hang
Do
on.
you have this set to private?
I don't think so.
It is set to private. That's why. Okay, I think we should maybe
it's public here. It's public here.
On my setting. Yeah, that's weird. It show. Oh, that's why. Okay, the settings on StreamYard are showing private. Let me just switch to public. Well, it's too late now. I don't know why it's doing that, but anyways, we can't share the comments. That's all part of the live. But I will read some out since we've got a lot of our lovely patrons on. Maureen's friend is there. Abby's there. We've got Hydro Fighter in the chat. So that's awesome. It's good to see Hydro Fighter. It has been a minute. Sorry to hear that you're under the weather. We've also got Devoid of Funk and Survey Channel. Survey Channel, how are you? He's actually in the green room right now, so I'm seeing him smiling right now. Great to see you. We'll actually see you soon, but lovely to have all of you with us. My name is Sunwarper, and with me today is Curtis.
It's me. Yeah, I'm still getting over the fact that I accidentally scheduled this as a private one. That's what I'm.
Yeah, but I think it's showing up as public, like live. Let us know, chat, if you guys all saw it. It seems like it, but if you all saw it on your YouTube channel, like on your YouTube homepage, let us know, because on mine it showed up. So it's very strange. There's some sort of strange disconnect with StreamYard and YouTube right now. But I remember when you scheduled it as private on StreamYard. So maybe when you switched it to public on YouTube, StreamYard didn't get the memo or something, and we're just in this weird in between. Maybe that's it. I don't know.
It's very spooky.
I want to change it to public on here, but I'm afraid it's gonna
I've tried.
shut it
While
off.
you were talking, I've already tried it, and it says that you can't. So we're sadly we're stuck for that.
All right, so friends, sorry we can't share your chats, but please keep posting them. We'll read them out. I'll read them out. It looks like Survey Channel is getting a little lonely in the green room, so if you guys want to join, patrons, the link is in the description. Keep him some company, and you guys can have fun while we talk some lovely news before we get into the round robin. Curtis, what is some of this news? Let's get into it.
So we're going to start with Noctua free VST from UVI and Venus Theory, the one on Venus Theory. I don't know if any of you guys have seen this at all. I'm going to share my screen and hopefully someone can put it up. But there is this brand new wonderful synthesizer coming in. There we go. That's the one. Now, can't do sound directly right now because this rig is still very unstable. We will
Here comes the crash in Crash Course.
So we'll be playing a sound demo after this. I want to take you through the heads up display so you can kind of see what's going down. And then we'll get into it later. But this is Noctua, which turns out is a small night owl. Apparently, that's what that stands for.
Okay,
and it's great. It's built for cinematic ambience, and very much plays into that game. So if you're a fan of working inside the DAW and you want something new and free, I stress the free.
Holidays are very near, so free is a nice reprieve, right?
Exactly. So it's wonderful. I've been playing around with it the past couple of days in preparation for this show and for my live stream after the show tonight, and it's very intuitive. It's very quick. It's aimed at a quick workflow. So I'm going to take you through it, and then I'm going to play a little sound demo for you, so you can play along. So I'm just going to grab my notes over here. So first off, as you can see, very sleek, very simple, very nice. Right? You've got 3 oscillators. All right, you've got oscillator 1, oscillator 2, and in the middle you have got a sub oscillator. These first two oscillators can be there. You have three banks of sounds. You have analog, EMF, and effects box, which are all wavetables synthesized and sampled by Venus Theory. Analog are from different pieces of hardware, for example, like the Arturo Polybrute, for example. EMF is a selection of wavetables from an EMF microphone, which picks up electromagnetic radiation and
Nice.
electromagnetic signals, that kind of thing. And then you've got effects box, which is a bunch of wavetables which have been created with hardware effects, which have then been processed in a DAW with granulizers and effects and whatnot. Essentially, that was a lot, but that's what these two do for the first instance. They can be turned on and off, as you can see here, and they can be panned independently left and right. So you can have one oscillator coming out of your left ear, one oscillator coming out of your right ear, and before you know it, bobs your uncle, you've got a sound. It's beautiful. Again, drive, reverb, delay sends, which is awesome, and they themselves can be done independently. In the middle with this sub, again, you can turn it on and off. You've got a morph, which runs it through the wavetable itself. You can see a little animation move the wavetable for the sub there. And it has a 5-octave range, which is really, really nice to see as well. It's the sub I found is really useful for creating, if the oscillators 1 and 2 create the textures and create kind of like the novelty sounds coming through. The sub comes through as a lovely kind of grounding aspect to it. It works really nicely, and because it's octaves up and down, you can use it as a lead if you so desired. So yeah, there is that. Is there
I
any?
love that
Before I go
minimal
into,
aspect of it. It's nice that it's
Yeah.
just like very right there in your face, not in a bad way, but like in your face, like it's all laid out quite simply, but I'm assuming quite texturally dense when you start playing around with it.
There's a lot there, and it's you can go from very smooth sounds, i.e., with the analog, for example, to absolutely destroyed and very static sounding through the EMS, for example, and to manipulate those and put oscillators 1 and 2 between each other. You get a very interesting crisscross of sound. So very quickly, you're running from very smooth, very silky ambient to very distorted, noisy soundscapes. It's lovely in that regard. It's really nice.
I just want to hear it, man.
Well, let me take you through the filter, the tremolo, and the amplitude because they got some really interesting points,
Okay.
and then we'll play that sound demo. All right. So on the sides, you've got filter, tremolo, and amplitude, and they all have 1, 2, and 3. So you've got essentially 3 filters, 3 tremolos, and 3 amplitudes. 3 different envelopes for all these 3 different oscillators, which is again a really nice touch for sound design. Like
Yeah.
before, you're like in that box, in that what you got there. You've just got the ability to morph and change those wavetables from the impact before you've even gone into your effects chain. It's all right there for you. You can also link them as well, so they can all come in and they can affect everything, the whole sound, if that's what you wanted. The flexibility is really nice in that regard. And over here, you've got some macro controls. You've got a bunch of effects coming in, like grain drive, metals, pulse, bit crusher. I know you're a big fan of bit crusher.
You know it.
So there is a lot there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's it's great. We'll play the video for get some sounds so you guys can hear what it sounds like now, and it will take you also through the sequencer, which you see here, and also take you through the effects, which you see here. So why don't you play that video?
Yes, let me head over to it. That's awesome. I was thinking it was just the one page, and then you go, "Oh, here's a sequencer. Oh, here's effects." Oh, okay, awesome. All right, it's the 6 one, right?
It's the
Yeah.
6 one,
All
not the
right.
9 one.
All right. Here we.
So we're going to play around with this a little bit, and we're going to see what kind of things that we can create with it. Like I said, it's very much a cinematic, soundscapey kind of VST built for sound design and built for cinematic stuff. So let's see what we've got. This is just a Genesis, starting at the beginning, like all good books do. And we're just going to start and hear what we've got. Okay, so we've got something that's quite harsh. We've got something that's coming through quite roughly. I apologize for that. Maybe better down here. Very nice. Okay, so we've got a very quick attack. We've got a very quick delay. Let's turn that up a little bit. Quick delay, quick release. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. That's much smoother, yeah. So that's just playing around with that. I like that a little bit more. Cool. All right, so let's change around. So we've got these EMFs, but they're quite experimental. They're from electromagnetism. But let's take this down. Let's try lunar. Nice moon, and always cool. So there we go. Instantly, we've still got that warbliness, but obviously something's a lot smoother. Something's a lot more warm. Really nice. Really nice. Let's take it down. So this is plus. Oh yeah. I mean, adding that along with something like analog is beautiful in that side. Okay, so let's add the sub in here too. Let's take it right down. Instant. I don't know. Instant cinema, as far as I'm concerned. Let's take it. Let's go and take this tremolo. Let's link this tremolo, put it all the way up in the mix. Let's sync it to my BPM, which is currently at 120. Really nice, really nice. Okay, so let's go with that. Okay, so that's a nice little kind of sound. And we can even let's take Apogee and smooth this effects box, shrouded. Why not? Shrouded in mystery. Ooh, okay. Let's take the drive up on that. Let's bring this down a little bit. And suddenly we've gone from something that's quite melodic into something that's kind of dark, you know? Let's take the tremolo off for a sec. So now we've just got a tremolo and that pumping bass coming through. Now we just have that coming through, and that is something very different in a few clicks. The idea here is what Vince Theory was going for: quick movement and efficiency in sound design. And I think that's kind of where he was going for here. At least that's what he's been saying. And it really does that. As you can see, we've gone from one sound to another sound very quickly without really having to do too much or understand too much about what's going on. So that's the main kind of idea. Now we come across to the sequencer in its own right. As you can see, we have, again, 3 sequences here. So we can affect our different oscillators independently, or again, we can link them together. So let's start by linking them. Let's have a 16th and a basic. Very, very basic. And you can see at the top that we have velocity and we have linking to create groove. Let's create them in. So we've got a very good, nice pulsing coming through here. And then down below, we've got changing the semitones. It is microtonal, so we can do sense as well, just to create some texture and a little bit of variance. Probably a little bit too much. Really interesting. And let's muck around with the ratcheting as well. And obviously we've got probability. What arpeggiator is complete without chance, eh? Wonderful. And then finally at the bottom we have panning, so that we can create some micro movement within the sound itself. I think you're getting that, probably. Wonderful. So it's going from left to right and it's all beautiful. And you can then change that independently of one another. So let's unlink that. Let's take a look at number 2. Let's change this velocity as well. Let's make this a 7-step sequencer. Why the hell not? It's all going to come in. Let's change everything around a bit. So you can see that instantly we've got from one texture to another. It's just got so much coming through here. It's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. Finally, across on the effects tab here, we have our reverb and delay sends from this tab that we saw earlier before, reverb and delay. So we can either toggle them on and off. Those are your normal toggles for that. And we have some master effects: drive, compression, EQ, and maximizer. Currently, they are all on, but obviously, again, you can take them off as and when you want. So yeah, it's a wonderful little thing. It's a wonderful little thing. I'll be playing more around with it on my YouTube channel after ADSN. If you want to check it out, we're going to go and make some weird, beautiful, dark ambience. For now, back to the show.
Weird and beautiful dark ambience. Do you do anything else? I'm not sure about that. That's just kidding, man. No, I that's insane. Like how quick we were talking in the chat. And chat, I know you were all there, but I'll read some of the chat because for those listening back or over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify when it comes out on Saturday, you should hear what everybody thinks about this. Because this, I know you said it in the video, but what I really saw is just how efficient you can move between sounds. Like micro movements cause drastic changes to the sound. And I love that because I have a kid now and I can barely find time to work. So if I need to do sound design and change things, it's like, oh, just move a few things real quick and I've got a totally new sound. And I was saying in the chat that first pad sold me. It's like, okay, as soon as this ends, I'm downloading it. Let me just read some of the chat. So Survey Channel says, quite nice, this damn thing. I agree with you, Survey Channel. Void of Funk says, it looks like a load of fun. And I think I missed a few. Yeah, here we go. Devoid of Funk also said, I had to look at it and probably will download at some point, but I got a sort of plugin overload and 2 relatively new synths to dive into first. But then they say this demo may push me to get it, though. Yeah, I'm right with you. I'm learning the Digitact, and I've got some stuff I'm still trying to work on and things like that. But I was like, oh, nope, this is an instant download. Yep. But sometimes that's okay. Like it's free, first of all. So who cares? Like you can always have it, forget it. And then when you need something like, oh, I need some new sound or I'm stuck on this track, throw it in there and give it a go. Let's see. I think we've got a couple more. Devoid of Funk, weird and beautiful dark ambience, subscribed. Hydra Fighter says, seems fairly simple and it sounds good for a free plugin. I'm like Devoid, I don't need to add anything to the collection at the moment. Yeah, I mean, like I was saying, my kind of thinking is get it and forget it, right? And then when you need it,
forget it.
Yeah, when you need it. Maybe that's an unhealthy approach, but it's free. So it's not like you're spending money and then forgetting it. Like, and I'm not saying forget it like it's not worth using, but if you've got a lot, I don't know, is it staying perpetually free or is this like an introduction free price?
No, it's always free. He's made it specifically so it's always free.
That's
so
awesome.
It will be free forever. Yeah.
That's awesome. Then yeah, I mean, then maybe don't get it yet, but I don't know. I mean, I don't see any harm in downloading it if it's free and just having it. You never know when you might need weird dark ambience, you know?
I think one of the things that I've been messing around with and finding with it is it's really good for textures, as you can imagine. So blending it, if you're using MIDI and you're doubling up on MIDI, right? And you might have a single MIDI line, and then you might blend it with something else. If you then say, for example, you duplicate that track and create a pure texture with something like this, you can blend those two together in a really nice fashion, which gives it takes your ambience and takes your kind of like your pad to another level. If you've got these little trickly textures coming inside, very archaic, not archaic, anarchic. Sorry, getting confused with my terminology here. It's very anarchic, and it's completely it completely changes and creates a really original sound. Which then, if you bounce that and freeze that track, you've got something like unlike anyone else in the world.
Well, that's what I was gonna mention. Is this seems like the perfect sample like starter. Like just make a bunch of different sounds with it, and either you can use it as a one shot to do chromatic mode and have chords and things like that, kind of like you were playing a single chord or like a two note sound. You could just sample that and you could make like all these really nice pads with it on a sampler or something, or in your DAW, whatever you're doing, or just make a bunch of background ambient sounds with it, put it into something like a sampler, and you have all these background sounds when you need little like horizontal changes to a track or something like that, you know, just to add little like bells and whistles and things like that. There's a lot of potential with that. And again, I mean, it's free. What's not to love about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this to people's attention. I've been a big fan of Venus Theory for a long time, and he makes a lot of cool stuff, and took him a year to make it. It's a free
Wow.
plugin, and
Yeah.
he's all about progressing or getting past barriers to entry. If you're looking to make cinematic music, I know we've had a few discussions about making library music and making commissioned work for, say, TV and film. That is in your arsenal, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just checking if I missed any chats because I'm just looking at chats off of my phone because we're not getting it today as we talked about. So sorry if I did miss anybody's chat. Just post it again. Let me know because it was pretty lively while we were watching that demo, and I was trying to
Mm,
keep my eye on the demo as well because Curtis was making such lush sounds with it. I was like, "Ooh, I'm sold. I'm sold." But yeah,
exactly.
anything else you want to say about the plugin? And chat, if you have any questions for Curtis about the plugin or anything, let us know before we switch over to the next topic. But yeah, Curtis, anything you want to add?
I think it's. I think I've said everything I want to say about it. I think it's one for exploring for sure.
Yeah.
It's a very different workflow to what I'm used to. People who use Serum might be quite used to it, um, but it's definitely worth. Yeah, whether or not you've got a load of VSTs, I think it's very much worth exploring and supporting an indie artist in that regard. Like UVI, they're not especially huge. Venus Theory, while he's been growing over the last couple of years, he's very homegrown. He's where we are, that kind of thing. And yeah, it's good just to have someone support people who are like us, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. That's the whole point of the show, right? Together we grow. That's what we want to
Exactly.
share all of our knowledge and all that. And thanks, Curtis, for demoing that. That looks really awesome. As soon as this ends, I'm going on my new computer and I'm downloading. Do you have
There
a
you
link
go.
for it? Can we post it in the chat?
I will post it in the chat. Why don't you introduce the next topic and I'll find it.
Yeah, so we've got some good news. I just need you to share the screen if you can, though, when you're doing it. But don't
I
worry, do the
need
link first. I'll
to.
I'll talk about the what's going on at Bandcamp. Then we'll just share the link because it's just a blog post that they made. But we've been talking a lot about Bandcamp, Spotify, a lot of dystopian possibilities with all these changes happening. And Bandcamp was sold by Epic. Well, first they were bought by Epic like 2 years ago, sold by Epic just a couple months ago, bought by Songtradr, who is a sync licensing company and all that stuff. And there was a lot of talk about what could be happening and things like that. And we made some thoughts like, oh, this could happen or that, but we wanted to wait and see what happened. Well, now we've got something good actually coming out of it. And I don't know if this was in the pipeline before the Songtradr acquisition. I'm not sure, but let me just share the screen. So discover a new way to shop on Bandcamp. So Bandcamp is introducing an improved and new way to shop for music and merch through Bandcamp Discover. It's bandcamp.com/discover. The update allows users to browse and purchase CDs, vinyl, t-shirts, cassettes, and more all in one place on phone and computer. And then you can search on Bandcamp by genre, category, or artist location. All reasons to make sure your metadata is nice and synced with location, what type of genres you're doing, all that, because now there's even more of an impetus for discovery because of that. They say Discover assists in navigating the vast array of releases and merch items on Bandcamp, helping users to find specific items more easily. You can tag searching and combinations, or tag searching and combinations will be introduced soon. That's something they're going to roll out in the future, allowing users to create more specific searches. You can combine genres. So if you're looking for like ambient and IDM, you could do that in the future. And yeah, it also says a couple of tips for creators or artists, labels, things like that for how to best use this new feature or utilize this new feature. They say for artists and labels, it is recommended to choose a featured track, like one that you want to be prominent when you're in Discover. As you can see on the right side there, there's a specific song being played on the right, far right of the screen there. They say tag all releases for better visibility and Discover and select genre. Listing all merch on Bandcamp is advised to reach the platform's large community of music fans. And they always say this, and they're right, adding appealing photos of the merch, like real photos and things like that,
Mhm.
is a really good strategy. They say that they find more attractive images of like, real photos and real t-shirts and stuff like that sells better. Which makes sense. I mean, right? It's showing that it's a real tangible item rather than just like a mock-up or something. Yeah,
Mm.
so I mean, really good news. Chat, let us know what you think about this. Curtis, I mean, we do merch and stuff. What are you thinking about this?
It's nice to have some good news for a change in that regard, in terms
Yeah.
of like sticking up for the indie muso. We've all done merch here. Survey Channel, who's in the green room, for example, I know he's done a lot of merchandise and stuff like that. We all sell CDs. All of us have a T-shirt range, and it's good that this kind of thing is coming to the forefront once again. Anything that is easier for people to find your work is never a bad thing, and it's come at such a necessary time. Those who tune in week out know that the unfolding presence that Spotify has had over the past couple of weeks here, and there has been seemingly no alternative. The Discord, the Patron Discord, has been awash with what are we going to do? What are we going to do? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And it just shows that Bandcamp, to a degree, still has our backs for now, at least, which is really nice to see.
Yeah, I would like to know if this was planned before the Songtradr acquisition or after, just out of curiosity. But yeah, I think one thing I would like to see is something like Spreadshop, Printful, all those on-demand ones. I'd love to see if they could do some sort of integration, like YouTube. When you get, I think, the first tier of partnership at the 500 subscribers, you can link a merch store, and it's just nice to have that. I know Bandcamp says, and they're right, that having the physical item does sell better and things like that. But if you want to offer merch and don't have the budget for ordering a bunch or things like that, those are viable options. And I think it'd be nice to see that get integrated as well, so you'd have that option. But yeah, I mean, it's really good to see the good news. And as Curtis was saying, if you're not familiar with all the goings on of Bandcamp and Spotify of late, you can check out, we have a full playlist of all of our podcasts on YouTube, and then you can just go, if you're on Spotify, scroll down, but you'll see there's about 3 or 4 episodes where we were talking about what was going on with Spotify, and then they confirmed these changes where they're only paying out after 1,000 streams, and if those aren't in the first month, you don't get paid. So yeah, Curtis is right. This could not come at a more proper time, like a very fitting time. And yeah, I think having metadata and things like that, it's just another reason to make sure when you're on Bandcamp that you're tagging your proper genres, tagging location, doing all of that kind of stuff, because now there's another reason that it benefits you to have that.
For sure. I mean, we've often talked about merch, and we're going to be discussing a bit more about that next week, in the round robin, about kind of where we're going in terms of merch, what we're doing next year. It's vital, in my experience, as someone who sells merch but not is at the beginning of their merchandise journey, so to speak. The having the merch is a really nice outlet to express yourself in different ways, which then your audience can latch onto really well. So it's nice to see that you can be able to express yourself as an artist beyond the traditional, say, vinyl, CD, cassette, whatever, and have it reinforced with a marketplace which actually gives you more for your money than, say, Spotify, for example.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's it's great that this is an option, and it's nice to see good news out of Bandcamp, because we're all concerned what was going to happen, and stuff could still happen. I'm not saying like this alleviates all of my concern, but it's nice to see something good come out of it. So yeah, happy to see that.
For sure. Shall we, if we could take that, should we use that as a nice little progression, shall we?
I would say you could have just segued right into it, but you asked. You had the setup. You didn't take it, man. You didn't take it.
I double guessed myself today.
But I appreciate the team effort. Yeah. Checks and balances, as they say, right?
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's call it that. The let's get Survey Channel in here, and we can discuss what we're doing, because this ties in quite nicely to what we're talking about in the round robin.
Well, why don't we run through real quick though our strategies, and then we'll bring him in, because I know he wanted to share his goal. So let's just run through ours real quick, and we'll bring him in. You got his hopes up, but
Sorry,
just wait
dude.
1 second. Survey Channel, 1 second. Yeah. So yeah, we've got some strategies and things like that we want to talk about in terms of what we're looking at in 2024, but also what we think changes just to the landscape of music and things like that, and how we are thinking the best path to navigate all of that. So what we're going to talk about are a couple different ways to grow as a musician, both in terms of production, well, in terms of all three: production, promotion, and then with all of these things we've been talking about streaming changes and stuff, release strategies. Because as of now, the big thing has always been, if you want to grow on Spotify and things like that, do monthly releases, right? Well, now there's this whole 1,000 stream issue. So it might be better to do a different strategy. So we're going to talk about a couple different options and things like that, because I think it's good to reflect on what has been in terms of production, promotion, and stuff, and what sort of changes are coming in 2024 and what we can expect and how we can navigate it.
Sure. Why don't you start with yours? I realize I'm looking at the docket. I realize I put mine in the wrong category, so I'm just going to put that somewhere else. Why don't you start with yours?
You're a mess, man. You're a mess. So in terms of production, I want to talk about kind of two things, and I know it's maybe a slightly controversial, but I want to talk about stem splitting and AI. And I don't talk AI in terms of like using it to write your songs and things like that, but using it as a sort of Genesis device. Like if you're stuck, you've got writer's block or something, you can use ChatGPT to, you can ask it, can you write a 4-chord progression that's ethereal in this style, this and that. It's all about prompts, really, but usually it's not the greatest in terms of like what it actually outputs, but it's a start point that you can tweak. Like if it gives you, let's say, a C major 7 to this, to that, you can change the C major 7 to a 9th or an 11th or completely just repitch it. But it's this start point you can take, and then you can just go from it. And I've used that. Like I said, I've got a kid, newborn right now, and like he's a newborn, and there's no time for making music. So if I can't think when I'm trying to write or when I have that moment, I want to take the small opportunity I have in front of the keyboard to make some music. So I will use ChatGPT to say, hey, just write this chord progression, and then I'll completely change it. But it's like it got me past that stumbling point. And then with stem splitting, yeah, we can talk about samples and all that stuff, but I think even more important is learning how a song works. Like take your favorite songs, split the stems, and you can hear everything that's going on. Yeah, there's going to be artifacts. That's not the point. It's just to kind of get those sounds isolated so you can really hear what's going on. Like I know when I worked on a couple of covers that I did a few Boards of Canada and Aphex Twin covers. I had to just do all of these tactics of like panning the song, doing EQ notches, removing a lot just to hear kind of what was going on in each area of the frequency range. But with stem splitting, you could get all of those things actually separate. I mean, when I use it, it feels like magic. I've done it even on my own songs to remix it because I lost the project file. Like I just stem split, and then I've got at least like 4 tracks that I can remix because, you know, when you start out, right, drums are too loud or bass is too loud, right, Curtis? So you can tweak it then, and then you can rework it and do all that type of stuff. So yeah, I think stem splitting is a big thing, and just ChatGPT, all that stuff in general. I'm curious, Curtis, to hear your take, and chat what your take is, because I know AI is controversial and all that to a degree, but I think it's not going anywhere. So learning how it works and using it to your advantage, it's not a bad idea. Looks like Steve agrees too.
It looks like Steve very much is resonating with what you're going to say.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Look, he's hanging around. He's like, I want to hear more about AI.
Exactly. You know me. I very much sit down the same bucket. I'm not a doomer when it comes to the use of AI and stem splitting. It's very useful. It's very useful. It's a very good Genesis tool. And utilizing more of that to increase your workflow. We hear week in and week out that we don't have enough time to do what we want. We don't spend enough time in the studio. We don't have this. We don't have that. AI, great way of doing that. It's not. Yeah. It's at this stage. All it's doing is all it's doing is a workflow for you. If you want to create a social media campaign for, say, the next month, you can get ChatGPT to do that, and you can automate all that stuff for you, for example. Like
that's the other thing. Sorry to cut you off, but if you hate social media, right, you can use it to just make the text, maybe tweak it. ChatGPT has a very specific way of writing, and you'll want to change it. But if you just don't want to waste the time on social media, but you kind of still want to have your cake and eat it too, you can use that to just kind of like, again, start point, right? Just write something and then tweak it later to have your voice and what you want to say. Sorry, Curtis, continue. Sure. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're right. You're right. I just think it's a really good tool to use, and I think it's only getting better. We've been looking at your merchandise for January, and the change in the use of AI for imagery, especially, has gone through the roof. And then manipulating that and using that as a manipulation tool in your own right in order to generate something which you can then make your own. It's yeah. There's no reason to not use these tools. These Mother
Yeah.
Nature given tools, should we say?
Yeah, definitely. What's your
Yeah.
thing in terms of production? Your tip?
Uh, for me, next year, I think I'm going to be looking at diversification. I've been kind
Nice.
of teasing this over the past year or so, in my brain, like looking at subgenres and looking at adjacent genres to what I do. But I'm really going to go with it this year, looking at different things. I've been at the moment on a bit of a hyperpop trip, so I've been absorbing a lot of hyperpop. I've been absorbing, which is completely batshit crazy, and
Yep,
it's
that's true.
mental.
Yeah.
And it's really popular right now. It's got some really interesting uses of sampling and granulation, for example. And I wanted more of it in my life. So that's my trip right now, but I'm gonna try and create different types of genre, try and explore different things to absorb as much as I can. What I've found is in the process of doing that, looking at the connections between the different genres and looking at how basically all genres are the same, both in terms of structure and sonics. If you boil it down, where are the connections? Where are the similarities? How are they married to each other in a certain way? It's a really good tool. And it can double up as kind of like ear training and practice as well, which
Hmm.
I something I'm really getting into. The obviously creation and creating and that we always come into the studio with, well, I'm going to create a product. I'm going to create, or not product. I'm just going to have something. I'm going to come away with a song or whatever. But just going in, no expectation, just going to make something or not. Who knows? But I'm going to explore, and that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I mean that's a good healthy way to be, and I think having an expansive look at all types of genres and being open to learning from every type of genre is the best way to grow in terms of production, right? Because you can hear what's going on in these different genres and the aspects you like, you can incorporate it into your music. Like
Mm.
pop has incredible production, right? So you can learn some of the aspects. I know hyperpop's a little different. I'm just saying separately, pop, like pop music, there's money there. So there's a lot in the production. So you can listen to it and be like, oh, there's all these different types of drum sounds, things going on. And like Maureen's friend is saying in the chat, he says goal for 2024 shoegaze tronica. I mean, yeah, that would be like you're
Yeah.
taking two very different things. That's something I love to do, right? Like take the shoegaze guitars and throw it into like IDM or something like that. And yeah, that's listening to aspects you like in all kinds of genres that you wouldn't think would work, but finding a way because of your unique perspective to bring them together, blend them, and make it something new. I think that's great. Chat,
Mm.
please share anything else if you've got something else, your goals or anything like that, or what you're looking to do in 2024, or things you're shaking up, changing in 2024. With that, I think we'll go to promotion because we on this channel like to cover promotion, and a lot has changed this year. I mean, Instagram Reels have just basically dropped off a cliff in terms of reach. There's studies showing that. I think it was Metricool. I'll find it and put a link once I find it, but the reach compared to I think 2022 or 2021 has drastically dropped in terms of reach on the algorithm, and yeah, it's crazy what's going on there. And then you have things like TikTok maybe reaching saturation point in terms of algorithm and things like that. YouTube Shorts, the algorithm just keeps changing nonstop. Um, so I think it's good to consider what's going on with promotion. And so for me, I'm actually taking a big step back from worrying about social media. And if I have content that I make on YouTube, because that's what I'm going to focus on YouTube. That's what's working for me. That's what I enjoy using. And that's what I like to use. And I have a great community there that I love to interact with. So that's what I'm going to focus on. And then everything else is kind of like if I have something that will work on Instagram or something like that, I'll just post it. And I'm still going to comment on people's posts, like friends and stuff like that. But I'm not worried about social media algorithm growth because when I was doing that, it didn't really amount to much. It wasn't worth anything. Like I had a few posts that went viral to a, like whatever degree you want to call it, but lots of views for me or whatever. And it like there's no change in the monthly listeners. There was no change in this. Yeah, maybe I got a few followers, but like, what does that matter? Like, it's not meaningful in any way. But on YouTube, like, I can interact with people in the comments. They're asking questions. We're like learning from each other. Like on my koala sampler live stream I did last week, someone mentioned that they use a certain way of routing so that they can use all the different they can map everything in koala by using the different MIDI channels to map like individual sections. It's like, that's brilliant. I never would have thought of that, but because of the community, we can all learn from these things. So that's what I'm focusing on. Is I put YouTube in the notes, but it's less of YouTube and more finding what you enjoy, finding what works for you, and then using that, and not worrying so much of what the newest platform is. Threads is growing right now, but it's like, I look at that and that algorithm just doesn't really speak to me. So it's like, okay, I'll post on it. Like, be there if you want to be there, have a presence, but don't worry about it so much. That's where I'm at.
I hear that. I think there's a chill, there's a much more healthy attitude to look at it. I mean, I think the days of hustling and growth and getting to the point where we're trying to go viral, like you say, and we're trying to get hits and clicks and vanity metrics. I can't help but feel people who are still people, the Adam Ivies of this world who push that narrative are somewhat beating a dead horse in that regard.
Well, I think there's a point to it, right? And it's finding what aspect of it works for you. Like, we do have to kind of play on this hamster wheel if you want to grow as an artist, in terms of like, maybe if you can't play live, or if you want a social media presence, or if you want to grow your listener base and things like that. But I think my point is, like, find what of that works for you,
Find what
and
works for
don't
you.
don't
Yeah.
necessarily just, like what I was saying, don't fall prey to like, oh, this is the newest site and the algorithm's like fresh, so get in on it and work hard on it and grind
Mm,
on it. But if you don't enjoy that website or something, don't worry about it. Like, YouTube's an old website, sure, but it has the second largest search engine in the world, and I just am like understanding, like, it just clicks for me the way to do it and how I do things and stuff like that. And I like the community aspect. So that's what I want to focus on. So it's like, I'm not just completely stepping away, but I also want to worry less about the commodification and also
mm.
emphasize the art, right? So like, I can use my YouTube to do the tutorials, I can make beats and stuff, but I can now have this time to do my artistic endeavors of like, I want to make some crazy weird ambient shoegaze IDM track, right? So like,
Mm.
I can just work on that, and then if it fits the YouTube channel, great. If not, I can release it as Sunwarper, whatever. But like, I don't have to worry about the monthly releases because Spotify's changing. So it's like,
Mm.
just kind of embrace these changes that, yeah, aren't really great. Like, the Spotify change isn't great, but it does mean, oh, okay, I can like focus less on that, focus more on YouTube, and focus on doing the music like however I want to do it, not having in the back of my head like, well, will this fit a playlist? Will this work? That, like,
Mm.
because even if I wasn't focusing on that, it was always kind of in the back of my head, like, oh, okay, well, is there a song on this album that might fit a playlist, and things like that. Yeah, and
I
Devoid of
get what
Funk
you mean.
says promotion can feel like drops in a bucket, but better drops than dry. Definitely. That's a great way to say it. Better drops than
Yeah,
dry.
better
Yeah.
drops than dry.
I
I think
agree. And that's I'm sorry, Curtis. I'll let you speak in just 1 second, but I just want to emphasize again, it's like, my point in this is finding those drops, as Devoid of Funk put so eloquently, like, that work for you, and that you don't find to be just like frustrating and annoying and like, oh my God, this reel didn't reach it. Like, whatever works, just focus on that, and then the rest you can kind of just use as you want to.
I get that completely. I think within that, there's that notion of again emphasizing finding your tribe, finding your community, and the the authenticity that comes through with just being part of a community is, to a degree, it's sort of just it's promotion in its own right in that regard. Now, um, I'm coming from a space where I'd rather five people I really care about listen to my album than 1,000 people I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
people that are part of it, having those 1,000 true fans, so to speak, and people
Yeah.
who have your back and support you. That's why I'm thankful for the Discord, for example. That's the only kind of place at the moment where I'm really wanting to find out more about people and find out about more of our craft and where we're doing and put my stuff out into the world, because it's genuine, it's true, and it's organic, and that's what's really, to me at this point in time, is what really matters.
Yeah. Okay. So is that what your lesson, or do you have more you want to add?
No, I think that's it. I think I've
Yeah.
got I've got a fairly healthier relationship with social media than I had this time last year. I like Instagram. Instagram works for me. I enjoy it because I get to share photos of Steve, and that's mainly what I do on Instagram. I just share photos of Steve,
Yeah.
and that's great, you know. And then you got the Discord, which is very communal, and I enjoy bumming around on a Wednesday in my live streams, and it's good fun exploring. And I don't really, it will be what it will be. I'm just kind of doing it at my pace, and I that's kind of where I'm going with it.
Maureen's friends appreciates your Steve output. He says, "Yes,
Yeah.
Steve." Yeah, no, I think that's healthy, and I it's figuring out also what you're trying to do, right? Like, are you trying to
Mm,
grow on social media? Are you just trying to like talk to friends and family and your fans and things like that? Like figuring out where you want to be.
mm.
So I think we kind of have the similar lessons here that and
Yeah.
tips like that.
I
Yeah.
I wanted to just add to that. I mean, I now I'm a full-time engineer in the quote unquote real world. The connections and the relationships I'm forming with people in my occupation, who just by sheer wanting to go for a beer with them at the end of work, or working with some of the kids at school, for example, like that offers a lot of promotion in that its own right. So
Hmm.
what where my brain goes with that is like things like Petite Victory Collective, and again, Survey Channel has a little collective in Buffalo, I believe. I could be wrong. Maybe when we get him on, he can correct me. But the notion of having people in the physical space as well is something that this year I've really learned that is really useful,
Hmm.
uh, to find people where you can be your authentic self, and therefore be confident in promoting a work, if that makes sense. And that's something that I'm really going to plug into next year. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I say opportunity as if I want to kind of milk it. It's
Exploit
not
it.
about
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to get at. I
No,
want to kind of,
no, I get exactly what you mean. It just remembering the real world's out there and that real connections matter most. I mean, one of my goals for 2024 is to play at least one, but preferably three shows, just anywhere, like coffee shops, whatever. But I just want to play, right? Like get back into the
shows.
joy
Nice.
of live performance, like just
Hmm.
being out there. And I would like to. There's some, I think it's Flip a Beat or whatever, but there's like beat events that happen around in a bunch of different states and all over the place. But I want to try to get to those and just like find community, because I feel like I haven't found like a real music community besides like Audionautic, and our Discord is amazing and all that, but it's like not right here. Like I can't jam with someone. Like unfortunately, I can't be like, Curtis, come over, let's make some beats on the SP and stuff. Like he's all the way in Czech and I'm in California. Like it's not happening. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yet.
yeah, and but that's okay. But yeah, I think it's good to do that. Hold on one second. Let me just go through the comments real quick. Anyways, continue just for 1 second. Ramble on, please.
Yeah. So that's what we're doing. So we're looking at that's what we're at 2024, getting to the ideas of what we're doing as artists. Um, the notion of just becoming a bit more authentic and coming a bit more ground where we're at. We at the very beginning of this round robin, we looked at tying it into Bandcamp, and we wanted to show some things what we're doing. We got a big year planned for Audionautic in that regard, and we're aiming and we're shooting, and it's not all there yet. It's not all completely there, but we're hoping it will be by the beginning of next year. We're hoping for a release a month on the label. Now, we have releases there. Some of them are for us. For example, I've got about 3 releases next year on Audionaut. I believe some has got at least 2, maybe 3. And we're trying to fill out with alternative artists as well. Um, but we are also having a different look into how we kind of do our merchandise and how we do our things. This is why This is why we're so pumped up about Bandcamp's new ideas.
Yeah.
If you
And
want,
let me
if you
quick
want to take,
let me preface it really quick. Yeah, I'm happy to take it, but we want to talk release strategies, right? Because like we were saying, it was always the monthly release is the way to go. And monthly release as an artist, not what Curtis was talking about, where having a release from an artist, different artists on a label, right? That was always the way to grow on Spotify and things like that. But Spotify is not, I guess it never has been for artists, but it's even less so now because they're just not going to pay until you hit 1,000 streams. So if you're pushing out a song every month and those songs aren't growing, you're not getting anything from it. Whereas if you're putting out a song or an album and actively trying to grow that song or album, first of all, if you're doing that on Spotify, that would be one way to theoretically try to hit that 1,000 thing. But the landscape's changing with how to do releases and stuff. So what we want to focus on talking about authenticity and things like that are um, physical releases, tangible things that are special, limited editions and albums, like falling back to the idea of an album, a concept from an artist and something like that. So, yeah, I've been working all throughout the year. My like kind of pseudo monthly release, but also a long-term release was this Music for Imagined Landscapes. Every month was a new song and a new piece of AI artwork that took the ideas of the song and turned into art. So as we're getting into this new year, we were like, let's do something special because it's releasing the full album. The finished product is releasing in January. And so we wanted to do something really special. So our idea is to do a book, like a booklet, because there's a story to each song and then there's the artwork. So we're just trying to think of ways that we can make genuine, authentic art and something special that's like meaningful. Like this project has been very meaningful to me. I went through a lot of changes in the year and like these songs reflected it. And so Curtis has been helping me to kind of like create a book, and you can do this all on demand. That's the beauty of it. You can use something like Canva and create it on Canva and then print it through Canva, and it's relatively fairly priced, like a book. Let me just share the screen. So this is the cover, right? So we've got the main art, and then if you could just go to the next page, like part of the story that's coming up. There we go. So there's like the story and the image and things like that, and with it will be a CD, right? Like we're gonna make the CD, we're gonna make the book, and it all comes together in this special edition. So the idea is to make something special that's meaningful to you as an artist, but also is something that would be meaningful to the listener. Curtis, you have anything you want to add there?
I think it's a really nice opportunity to discuss the benefits, I suppose, of prioritizing Bandcamp once again. The notion of this, for example, this booklet will only be available on Bandcamp, on the Audionautic Records Bandcamp. My Marooned album last year, for example, there's an extended play which you can only get on Bandcamp, for example. With some of the artists that we're bringing on next year, we're doing exclusive remixes and reworks and collaborations, which you can only get on the Bandcamp. This is a way to breed that notion of exclusivity, or so to speak, or there's a reason to buy to support, not just stream. And
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the key in terms of promotion. How can you give your listeners and your fans a reason to buy for you that and support you in a way, like you say, uh you've got these little blurbs, these little stories of what each song that gives so much more than it already is. It's already a great track. Fistic is a great track, and then you put a whole story behind that and where you're at as a musician, and we're going to add notes about hardware and look at the community and what the community think about it, that kind of thing. There's so much there. Suddenly it's such a more well-rounded piece and gives people a reason to support.
Yeah,
It's
and to
great in
go
that
to
regard.
Bandcamp, because what we're kind of thinking is you can create this funnel, right? Like every artist on Audionautic Records will be on streaming, but the point is to get the casual listener to come through streaming and then find a reason to get them to Bandcamp, to get them to the physicals and the things special. So it's kind of like casting the wide net, but then getting more and more so that you can, the people who are just going to listen on a playlist or something, we can cover that for our artists. But then if somebody wants to really learn what's going on, the get into the story behind the artist and the meanings and why they wrote this or have something special from the artist, it's there on Bandcamp. So there's reasons to get to all of it. It's like a funnel or a pathway, which I know is like marketing speak and stuff like that. But we're trying to look at it as like a mix of this marketing because we want to reach new ears, we want to grow, we want our artists to be heard and to grow, but we want to do it our way and to have this special way of getting there so that it's like there's something meaningful behind it all.
Very much so, yeah. Is there anything more you'd like to add to that?
No, I think let's get in Survey Channel. He's been patiently waiting and we really appreciate it. Survey Channel, just give me a thumbs up if you're good to come in. I don't want to throw you off if not. So, yep, thumbs up. Okay, let's bring him in. What's going on?
What's up? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got some noise. Let me just tone you down a little bit. Yeah.
I think my wife decided to vacuum. So
It's ambient white noise. Curtis can sample it later. It's okay.
Timing was exceptional.
What can we say? We're good at that. How are you?
Opportunity.
I'm well. How about you?
Yeah, we're good. We're happy to have you. So yeah, if you have anything you want to add to anything we said, or just share your own goals, or both, of course, please feel free. Survey Channel.
Well, pretty much my goals are your goals.
Oh, okay.
So thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, can you elaborate a little bit, please?
No. So I think for me in 2024, a big aspect of what I'll be doing is I'm going to focus again on live stuff, but it's going to be sort of a two-prong approach, bringing in more visual stuff that I've been doing and sort of integrating it. That's a big reason why I kind of switched over to Ableton. I don't know if that's accurate, but it seems like I can sort of utilize both audio and video in good way, unique ways with Ableton. So that's my goal. A big part of it is sort of an AV experience more so than what I've been doing in the last couple of shows that I did. And maybe figure out if I could, get some stuff released. I haven't been doing much writing or composing, so I think I'll start working on some actual music once I get Ableton going. Yeah.
And have you been messing with Ableton much, or is it more like I'm going to deal with that in the new year?
Yeah, I'm going to deal with that in the new year. I had to get my Ableton gear set up first, so that's coming. Soon.
Gotcha. Did you get a push or a Novation launch?
Well, I have the launch control.
Oh, okay.
I use that live and Reaper. It was very handy, but I got the Launchpad Pro, Mark III, I think, the one that Curtis has. So I got that coming.
Looks like Hydro Fighter says Max for Live has some pretty decent video plugins. So
yeah, I actually just picked up a small one called Brain Candy, which looks pretty sick. Yeah, so
nice.
I'm making a note of that. I'm looking forward to hearing that goes. Yeah, that's what I want to see. Yeah, I want to see Ableton tutorials from you, bro. That's what I want to see.
I don't know about that, but so yeah, I think it's a New Year thing, but I've messed around a little bit. It's not very intuitive without that stuff, I think. Just from what I've been doing, it's just like using a regular, horizontal DAW at that point, or even less so, because in session view you can't do as much, I feel. So I haven't done much with it.
You might spark some hate from Curtis and the Ableton crew. I'm just kidding.
It could just be my sort of novice status, but figuring out the sampling in it was a little painful at first.
I think it's like once it clicks, it really opens up. Because when you see someone who knows what they're doing with Ableton, man, they can just fly through that thing and make some crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So,
another goal is to cut down on some gear. I haven't been using as much hardware, so it'd be nice to get some money off of that stuff and sort of reinvest it and maybe do some self-release physicals, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, in terms of all that, promotion will probably stay the same cadence. I'm sort of just burnt out from all of it. 2023 was just kind of a crazy year. I sort of felt beholden to a lot of other people and what they wanted from me, and not sort of what I wanted to do. But it did get me out of my comfort zone, and I played a bunch of shows, and that was fun. And as Curtis mentioned, there's a pretty blossoming scene here in terms of electronic music that I didn't realize. So,
and how did you find that? How did you find that scene that was starting up?
So it first started when I was doing the radio show for camp. I'm like, I'm going to do like a Buffalo. I'm going to see if I can do a Buffalo show. Because, maybe there's some artists out there. So I was looking on Bandcamp, searching on Bandcamp, under the Buffalo tag, and I found this group, Oxcab, and started listening to them, and it was like this crazy sort of Aphex Twin meets, like, I don't know, improv jazz type stuff. It's very sort of hybrid. But so I got talking to them, the one guy, James, and eventually played a show with them. God, when was it? Just this past year. Sort of kind of slowly evolved from that. And they sort of introduced me to a couple other people, and we got talking. There's a guy that makes some really awesome glitch stuff. There's a guy that makes some, I guess it's not hyper pop, but it's like,
oh, you're triggering IDM, you're getting Curtis's ears perked.
Like IDM stuff with guitars. It's really cool. His name's Dan. We had some people come up from Pittsburgh and do a show. So it's been a lot of house shows and, like, small clubs type stuff. But there's a couple people that really sort of make things whole, I guess. Really sort of that bring that realism to the whole thing. And it's like, okay, we play for each other, but it's tons of fun. And we all do different stuff and support each other. So yeah, it was kind of just sort of all fell into place this past year.
Sounds like a really good grounding, like a really good space for you to find people in the real world and kind of develop a sound.
Yeah,
you're shifting a workflow, and then within that, there's, like you say, blossoming. There's a blossoming from within as well. That sounds really, really, really nice. Sounds really good.
Yeah, there's a huge club scene here too, I guess. Sort of like not dub techno, just like techno, minimal techno stuff. A lot of, because the university, brings a lot of people from the city, a lot of people from Toronto. So there's a lot of cool stuff that happens. There's a lot of art spaces. There's a lot of stuff that people are doing. That's really very interesting. And, like you said, Curtis, not to exploit it, but I'd like to get involved with that and do something more than just sort of hole up and make music and release it to the ether. So
yeah, I think that's a huge thing for 2024 is looking into the real world.
Yeah,
opening, getting off the screen, right, and like seeing the live performance, because I think live, or even just finding it like community out here. I mean, like I said, our Discord's amazing. Like, we have a growing community there and all that, and there's things you can do with live streaming and things like that, like Curtis does, like I do on my YouTube channel and Survey Channel. I know you've done some live shows on your Bandcamp and stuff, but I think it's a whole other beast to get genuine performance in front of others, but also just building connections with musicians and things like that. So I think that's like the way forward for 2024 in terms of promotion. Like, have that aspect of it dialed in, right, Curtis? Like, get that part there, and then do what else fits.
Yep. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, for sure. I think that there's definitely space there to, we most of us were born into a world where the internet was either there or coming into existence, and therefore it's been our entire life. And to see more of the kind of the old school, the snail growth approach is really good. Like, the community you've got over there in Buffalo seems really nice. You've got Petite Victory Collective in Copenhagen. I would love to. I'm sure that there's some doorless people here in Prague, for example. These little pockets are there, and it's finding the like-mindedness and the on a personal note, for me, it's the introversion. It's the stepping out and going out into the real world.
That's my issue too. Yeah,
and go, okay, that kind of thing. So that's a big step for me, and that's kind of, I want to kind of emulate that in that own way. These, like I said, these groups are popping up, so it's good to see. I'd like to get a part of that. The rig is quite big and it's unstable, as many of you are aware. So maybe it's time to break it down a little bit and take it out into the real world. You know what I mean?
Yep. Just bring an SP404. That's my plan. Just take an SP404 and go out into the world. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm looking to do. I just have to find like venue, things like that. But we'll get there. But I think that's everything we wanted to cover. I want to say that I really appreciate Survey Channel hopping in, sharing your goals and all that. It's great to have you. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more shows and stuff. And I know you were asking about YouTube tips and stuff. And,
Yeah,
and
that's
I'm
another
happy to
thing.
share more if you want to hear more tips and stuff. We can make a segment breaking it down, because I mean, I don't say I'm an expert, but I've had some luck recently of learning kind of like how to make it work and growing, and seen like almost 2,000 subs in the year. So yeah, there's some things I can share that I've been discovering and that we've discovered on Audionautics. So yeah, I think that'll do it for the show. I know Curtis has something at the very end, but we appreciate everybody hanging out. And if you are watching this back on Spotify or on YouTube, let us know in the comments or on Spotify's little reply section what your goals are, what you're looking to do with music. Are you changing your approach with the changes happening on social media and all that? Like, how are you approaching production, promotion, release strategies? Let us know, because I mean, that's how we grow. We learn together. That's what we do on our Discord. That's what we do with our patrons. Like, it's all about growing.
It is. And in the name of growth, we just wanted to say a massive thanks. It's our last official show for the year. I think we're going to do a hangout next week, between in that weird murky stage between Christmas and New Year, where no one's quite understanding what's going up or down. So basically every Wednesday. But
yeah, that's my everyday, man.
I'll be there if it's Wednesday.
Oh yeah,
You'll
we'll be
there.
doing it Wednesday.
Yeah, I
Wednesday,
can't do
11 a.m.
weekends.
Pacific, 7 p.m. UTC. That's our usual
Which is-
time. So yeah.
we're gonna have a hangout. We're just gonna do more like a round robin style. We're just gonna sit, bring something to the table. If anyone listening wants to attend for that, if you're a patron, you can obviously hang on or hang out with us in the chat itself. If you've got a question or you've got something you want to put to the community, then's the time to bring it. And we're just gonna shoot the shit for an hour and just kind of talk and see what's up.
Yeah, we'll be taking
but-
attendance, and anyone that's not in is banned from the Discord.
Banned from
Exactly.
Survey Channel's end of it. You're always welcome on our Discord.
I get it. But on that note,
just
we wanted to say exactly. I just wanted to say thank you to all our patrons this year. Thank you ever so much for the support and the love that you've offered us and given us and created. The Discord is flourishing. That's down to you. So thank you ever so much. Really appreciate your support. We're doing more next year. We are growing next year. We're bringing more to the table next year. Your faith will not be in vain, so to speak. If you are listening or watching, or you're getting this on record or repeat or whatever, and you want to support us and you want to see us grow, together we grow through the name of Audionautic Patron. For as little as $2 a month, you can become part of the community officially. You get your own channel in our Discord server, where all these conversations that we're having on a daily basis are really taken forward. And as you go further up the tiers, you get early access to our content, as well as
Starstream
sample packs.
podcast, which is coming we got a new one coming. I think it's next week or the week after, but it's coming very soon.
It's next week. It's next Saturday. And then we are. Yes, we're making sample packs next year, more merchandise coming out next year, and it will be parlay to that through our Audionautic patron. So if you haven't done already, obviously sharing, taking part is obviously wonderful, and we love you for it. It's more than enough. So thank you. If you wanted to do a little bit more, come say hi on Patreon. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we have the patron exclusive chat on Discord, but the Discord is open to all. The link is in the description. With that, we'll be back next week for Hangout. I don't know, we won't be covering much news, but we'll have a good hangout, 11 a.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. UTC. But it's meant the world to have you all with us this year. It's been a lot of fun. We are so close to 100 episodes. I mean, it's crazy. It's always just so much fun to be on here talking all this stuff, learning from each other. So we appreciate you this year, and we look forward to next year and having you all with us and all the stuff we've got in store. So with that, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.